energy.
I'm glad you mentioned the turnout. And on May 19th, we had the Maine primary, and there were only 4 statewide races that were contested in the Democratic primary. And they didn't draw a ton of interest. They had virtually no money. We spent a little bit, but not a lot.
Right.
Even we didn't spend a lot. And the races on the Republican side were all of them were contested except Tuberville's race.
Right.
But they spent probably $35 million in 3 races. We spent, a total of maybe a couple, but that is like over the course of 9-10 months and a ton of races.
Down ballot.
And the down ballot races, that includes that down ballot races, and more than double. We are, for folks who don't know, we are a open primary state, so that when you go up, you ask for either ballot, Republican or Democrat. And by the way, I started feeling better in the afternoon during that primary when I started hearing stories of people saying, when they asked whether they wanted the Republican ballot or the Democratic ballot, they said, I want the Doug Jones ballot, and that was good. But Republican ballots, we doubled it, the turnout from 2022. Republicans were down 25%. And the other thing is that I know there were still more Republican ballots, but when you analyze over the last 3 cycles for Alabama, we not only have a path, we win this race. It's really stunning. So everybody's excited.
Yeah, no, we were out there. I mean, it's just, you can just feel it. But the other thing is clear to me, and us, because we've been looking at it, it's clear in Montgomery that independents are really moving.
Yeah, they're done.
The same thing we've seen everywhere we've been when we're doing on the ground in Iowa or Texas or here now. Everywhere we go, we just see independents saying, no, we want change. It's not people talk about a blue wave. We keep saying it. It's a change wave. Because you see independents, you see soft Republicans here move in our direction. That was really clear in Montgomery yesterday.
I mean, we talk about this all the time. We say, hey, Trump's at 26% with independents. He's 30 plus points underwater nationally.
Right.
And you start looking, okay, what does that actually mean in practice? It means that in a state like Alabama, we walk into a focus group with independents and Republican-leaning independents, which in Alabama, if you're independent, you're a Republican-leaning independent.
100%.
And we ask, how are you feeling about the country? And the first man says, Trump's really screwed things up. Right away, unprompted, they don't know who they're here for. They don't know it's for Doug or anything like that. But everybody what we see differently, everybody in the room starts nodding, say, yeah, prices are going up. Yeah. And then, the whole thing's about data centers, which I will probably get to. But that 26 that we talk about it every week. We talk about all these, Trump's doing worse, Trump's doing worse. We're feeling it.
The other thing that you hear is corruption. People get that there's too much corruption going on in Washington and Montgomery, and they're at the same time, so that their costs are going up, whether it's gasoline, fertilizer, whatever. It's healthcare. So, which are all things you're fighting for. So it's just the one thing, or one of the reasons we're down here. Alex and I spend the whole week down here with Doug and the team, is because this thing is real. We can win this thing, and it's hard to get attention with everybody so focused on the federal and rightfully so on the House and the Senate races, but. I'm telling you, I feel like we're gonna. I think some of these governors' races, including this one, but some of the others around the country, they're having trouble getting a lot of attention.
Right.
But they're real. We can win this thing.
Well, Joe, I and you can appreciate this, you guys, since you helped me so much in 2017 and 2020. Some of the questions I get are, why didn't you run for your old seat? And I talk about that. Doing something for people where the rubber meets the road is at the state level and the state house. And governors can do that. And governors are more important today, in my view, given all that we see going on around the country, of protecting democracy, protecting against ICE, protecting against data centers, doing all of the things necessary on the ground. And that's an important part. But I also see that, Alabama was one of these states that rushed into gerrymandering their congressional districts. And we now have, because of the governor, because of the legislature, one of our congressional districts, a black congressman who's got elected in 24 after the courts ruled that Alabama had intentionally gerrymandered on the basis of race.
Right.
Shamari Figures was elected. Well, they ran to re-gerrymander him out. And so that district is in play. And that's a district he's not been involved in. It's a whole different district. He lives outside the district. And so together, we're going to have to really push in that. But that's a race that if you look at those counties, I won it in 2017, almost won it in 2020 when we had so much. So our race is important to maintaining that one.
Yeah,
I know it's only one seat, but we may only keep the House by one seat. And so these races like this, I think, take on a whole new level of importance. And, I was just having this conversation in another Zoom that I was doing. If everybody remembers, when we won in 2017, that December 2017 special election gave rocket fuel to the 2018 midterms, in which we did so well. I mean, that clearly, people said, if you can do that in Alabama, then we can do that across the country. And I'm hoping that people see that now, not just for the midterms, but also for 2028 and beyond. This is really one of those areas that we're building for in an election that goes beyond just this midterm. We can win the midterm. We are dang sure building something that's going to outlast it, and people are going to have to pay attention to Alabama going forward.
No, and it's changing in the South. I mean, that's part of it. It's if you're going to change the South, Democrats have to start being competitive, campaigning here with real candidates that can put it together. You did that in 2017.
That's right.
You would do it again, and having a governor of Alabama, I mean, the country will, like, as it did in 2017, like the first time in 25 years, Alabama elected a Democratic senator. I think governor will even be more of a
think about having a governor from Alabama, maybe even a lieutenant governor or somebody else, and all of a sudden you got the other side saying, "Holy crap! Are there electoral votes? Are there non-electoral votes going to be in play in 2028? Because they damn sure will be."
No, and
I am
that's
absolutely convinced.
And I think that's happening throughout. I mean, you look at North Carolina, you look at Florida, in the South.
Alaska.
You got to fund the South, folks. We got to fund the South.
Which is the opposite of the South. But there too, I've been saying this everywhere, because a lot of times, and we have gotten ever since Joe started reading out the email at the end, we get way more questions in. So don't. Yeah. But the question we always get is, specific race, is this real? Is this real? Is this state real? Is this state real? And consistently, what we have said this year is this is happening everywhere.
Right.
This is not, look, it needs a Doug Jones at the top of the ticket because you have one before, and people need that muscle memory of actually, we can do this. I understood. But this is not a case where once in a blue moon, it's maybe you, and North Carolina, Ohio, Alaska, as I mentioned, these places, the same things: data centers, corruption, healthcare, obviously inflation, probably at the top of the list.
Yeah.
This is happening everywhere. So if we look at right now, depending on what poll you look at, I mean, if Trump is 6 or 7 points underwater in Alabama, think about what that means for anywhere else. And by the way, so you look at momentum in North Carolina, you look at momentum, Sherrod Brown's probably at like 6 or 7, depending on which poll you believe. There is no way that Sherrod Brown is up 6 or 7 in Ohio, and we are not in a competitive fight here.
100% with that, Alex. And what's interesting is that Governor Beshear, who's head of the Democratic governors, was down here the day after a primary. You guys were down here, and we had a great event with him. And I showed him those numbers from just the night before, and then I had a conversation with him recently, and he said, "Doug, we are seeing a bigger increase in Democratic voters in Alabama than we are seeing anywhere in the country. We see excitement around the country. We've seen it, but in terms of just the overall increase, it was so big in Alabama that people are taking notice of it."
Yeah, you don't have to take our word for it. You go look at the Economist YouGov poll. It has I don't know, 3 or 4, 5 months ago, I remember Trump had a +2 approval rating in the state of Alabama.
Right.
It's now, in their last one, it was -8.
Right.
And we know from public polling that Tuberville's running even more behind him in terms of approval.
Yeah.
5, 6, 7 points. So you look at that, then you add on to it the increase in the turnout that we saw in that primary, their decrease. And it's like Alex said, it's not just happening in these other battlegrounds, it's happening here too. Now we got a lot of work to do, and we got to raise the resources and all that.
We got to get our vote out.
Yeah.